understand the example that I gave to this group just before you. So we have first thing to understand, alcohol. So where in US we use two things. For those alcoholics, blood alcoholic content, BAC. So how to check it? We say DUI. So DUI means driving under influence. Driving under influence of the drug. So they have made, they have created some standard. For example, if 0.08% or higher of blood alcoholic content, if you are over 21 years of old, you have to be caught, you have to be sent to the prison, and you have to go to the probation. That is how they have created a different. So because I had to teach another topic, so early in the morning I woke up and I said, oh, so instead of blood alcoholic content, there is a mental ignorance content. It is MIC. And then what about DUI? DUI, so I replaced DUI with what? Living under ignorance. So that is my LUI. So if I'm living under ignorance, and out of the ignorance I'm putting the reasoning, it will not work. Yeah. It will not work. But then why it does not work? Because I lack the discernment and dispassion. But so that is why the master says the constant, consistent, regular study, contemplation under a teacher is required in the beginning, followed by repeat listening and learning. But now understand the entire the chain of the thoughts. Chain of the thoughts which goes in a wrong direction, which makes you fall into unconsciousness, then only we say mind is the only instrument that will say. So how it happens? That needs to be understood again. Constant, consistent study. So what happens? First is the lack of exposure. What is the lack of exposure to the Eastern wisdom? That my mind has not settled that there are two I. There is a false I and there is a real I. And it is the same mind has to recognize. It is the same mind which has a specific chain of the thoughts, follows the false I. Another chain of the thoughts follows the real I. It is the same car that can take me to a liquor store. It is the same car that can take me to the temple. Car has to be the same. Mind has to be the same. So why it does not happen? Because I'm not exposed to the teachings of the Eastern wisdom, step by step. So I lose hold of it. That is what I say, the lack of exposure. That is the first step. So when I have a lack of exposure, why there is a lack of exposure? Because I focus too much on the outer life. That is why it is a lack of exposure. Now you see, step by step, that is why it happens. You are right. Your question is genuine. So first is the lack of exposure, and then we can say it is because why there is a lack of exposure. Why I'm not driving cautiously? So simple, because mind is engaged in somewhere else. So same thing in our life. I'm under the LUI, living under the ignorance or living under the influence of the ignorance. So that is why I'm paying too much attention outside. So that is focus. I too much focus on the outer life, worldly pursuit, career, relationship, hobbies, etc., etc. So my mind does not look clearly. I'm an alcoholic because focus is somewhere else. So now focus is somewhere else. So then what happens? Then because of the focus is outside, so I thought identifies strongly with my personality, with my desires, with my attachment, and that is what the false I is. So ego feels threatened by the idea of the real I. You're talking the real I, pure consciousness. So there is no liquor there, there is no pleasure there. So identification with the ego. Pay attention. The first level is lack of exposure to the journey of the Eastern wisdom. I have less exposure. Second is the focus on the outer life, which gives, because I focus on the outer life, so my mind is constantly identifying with the money, with the liquor, with etc. It is already identifying. So now that I thought is asking, which is an alcoholic, is asking how to get rid of it. Not possible. Unless I see it different. I see it here, it is path is different and here is the path. So why it happens now? Ask yourself. Why? Go on asking. Because I am not able to reflect on myself. There is no practice, there is no self-examination. I am a non-seeker. So when I am a non-seeker, obviously I will put wrong reason. I will put wrong reason which appears as a right reason for my wrongdoing. Well, look at this, my wife, she does not understand and that's why I slapped her. I told her to do this. She did not do it. Who the hell you are to say any human being to agree with you? A person may agree with you or not. So there is a lack of self-reflection. So when there is a lack of self-reflection, what happens? Now this mind says, what I know is right. I don't want to know the real self, which is totally unknown to me. So there is a fear of unknown. I don't want to inquire into the fear of unknown. No, there is a lot of fear, forget about it. Oh, so you want me to discover real self? Let me take 2 packs of vodka, then I will find real self. So lack of fear of unknown is there. My mind is now forgot completely. So what happens? So in modern psychology, we say cognitive ability, and I use the word cognitive distortion. I recognize alcohol is the means, is the goal. My mind is obsessed with it, and that is a cognitive distortion. I'm living in highest level of ignorant content in my mind. It is not able to think in a way, and then what happens? Then I fall back into the ignorance. This is what happens in our daily life. Then those people who say, yes, it is the same mind, it is the same. Now, after all, the mind should inquire, but mind should contain both. Then I can do the discernment. Mind contains only one thing. Mind contains a total exposure to the ignorance. My content of ignorance is so high, so I do not have a time, I am not aware, I do not have a cognitive ability to see here is one option and here is the second. Unless the second option comes, how the second option will come? By consistent listening and learning from a teacher, picking up these principles. I was teaching the same thing and I say, you are a professor, so you are going to teach about MIC, means mental ignorance content and living under the influence of ignorance. So she started sharing the experiences. I appreciated her. She said, sir, first let me take care of myself. Then I will take care of my students. No, I was simply referring that, you are teaching also, and if any teacher, if any student says you do not, I did not understand, then you explain by this example. So she says, no, sir, I'm not going to do it. Let me take care of myself first. So now you see, there is a power of discernment is there. No, let me first change myself. Let me understand. That ability is missing. And that ability is missing, I have already told you, lack of exposure and focus on the outer world, identifying with the ego, and then we have mental distortion, ignorance content is too high, then this mind is not. That is why we say mental impurity. This is what the impurity is. Do you see that? That is why we say mental impurity. That is why we say you have to purify your mind. That is why we say you have to purify the mind. That is why we always say the purity of the mind, having a clear and uncluttered mind, allows one to think and reason without any biases. That is what the scientific research is in the objective empirical world. So we also say you are going to do the self-research, research on your real self. You should have uncluttered mind. You should have a power of discernment. So if you do not have the ability to separate the false from the real in your own mind, how can you treat the path? We will talk about alcohol later. First, have this ability. That is secondary cause. Primary cause, are you ready? No, I'm not ready. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready for taking a bag of vodka. So you are totally obsessed with that idea. And I say, hold on, just wait. I will give the vodka, but do you know that there is a power of discernment? Do you see that alcohol, vodka is different from you? No, I don't see you. So how can you move ahead? That is what the impurity of the mind is. So that is why the discernment is required. Otherwise, I will put irrational argument, unnecessary thought, and nothing is going to be achieved. That is why people, stand on one foot. They say, now I am doing austerity and tapasya and penance and I will achieve the real self. You will never be able to achieve real self. You are cursing yourself. You are destroying yourself. It is not possible. It is the same thing taking a vodka. So I am enjoying giving pain to myself. How can we achieve? I want to achieve permanent peace and happiness, and I am following the path of extreme pain unconsciously and habitually. Now see the beauty of tapasya. I have a habit of taking a bag of vodka. My mind says, but I have to leave it. It is not good. I have seen the after effect of it. So let me see. I feel discomfort if I do not take the vodka. So now I'm not creating any pain in my body, but I recognize the discomfort because of not taking the vodka. That is the real patience. That is the real tapasya. That is the real patience. My honey is angry over me, and instead of becoming angry, I hold on my anger inside. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I will move with love and care. So I am tolerating that discomfort in my mind, even if someone abused me. That is penance. That is austerity. Now I'm conscious. In the previous case, I'm not conscious. In the previous case, I'm not conscious. No. If I stand on one feet and I have a tremendous pain and I will achieve peace and happiness, no, you will not achieve anything. You are making yourself crazy. But here, you talk some nonsense and I hold back to it. No, mind, Mind, you're not saying anything. Hold on, hold on. That is tapasya. That is patience. That is penance. That is austerity. That is going to help you. So in daily life, you volunteer yourself. So unless I have that clarity of discernment, no way. That is why it becomes so difficult a journey, because we do not understand the very subtle points. Because the discernment, viveka, only provides the clarity. Now there is too much of pressure inside. My mind gives me the pressure. Intellect says, hold on. No, 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 no. We do it. So what happens gradually when you learn, you increase your willpower. So tapasya is meant to increase your willpower with the clarity. That is going to help you. And then what happens? You have a discernment. And now discernment gives one level of purity of the mind. Now you enter into a dispassion. Now first time you understand what is attachment and what is aversion. So what is attachment? How did you understand? Oh, my mind is creating a preconceived wrong notion. I am enjoying vodka. I have to live with this thought, this knowledge, this awareness. That is what the discernment and dispassion. But if I don't have the choice in the same mind, I don't have the choice in the same mind, then MIC, mental ignorance content. I'm living under the influence of ignorance. I don't see the wisdom. I don't have any option. When I don't have that option, then obviously I fall back. Dispassion allows, now you see, dispassion allows me to logically examine ideas objectively, without any bias, without any prejudice. So means that I have an option. But as long as I do not have this option, my logic becomes distortion, preconceived opinion will take over. That is what the impurity of the mind is. That is why we say in the very beginning, the purity of the mind is very, very important. Like any research, unbiased opinion, you should set up a research protocol, you should set up a variable, or these variables are constant, these variables are changing. Based on that, you logically. So I have to use my intellect. If I don't use the intellect, no chance of the journey of the East and West. That is why we have more than 3,000 texts. So vodka in the mind, pleasure-seeking mind, made also the intellect as a pleasure-seeking intellect. Then how can you put the logic? Now the intellect is tremendously under the influence of the mind. There is no way. I am tremendously under the influence of a sensuality looking at the girl. I don't have any other option. The intellect says, no, let me grab it. So now intellect is defeated by the mind. Intellect says, grab it. Now the intellect, it is in the intellect, there must be a thought, because pleasure is not outside. I should stay with that. Mind says, no, pleasure is there. Intellect says, pleasure is not there. You have tried millions of times. Now you have a second thought. Pleasure is not outside, because you have taken a vodka, you enjoyed it, but after enjoyment you had a frustration. Doctor said your liver is being damaged. How can you say there is unless I have this thought, the mind is not going to listen. Mind has a thought that, no, let me enjoy vodka. That is also a thought. But I don't have another thought in the intellect. Why I don't have any? There's a lack of exposure of teachings of the Eastern wisdom. The intellect cannot think in that way. The people are not serious. People are not seekers. So then what happens? The mind says, now the mind defeats the intellect. Mind defeats the intellect. Now, what it means by mind defeats the intellect? Now, intellect sings the tune of the mind. And now the same intellect will put a wrong logic for a wrong reason. And that intellect creates likes and dislikes. Mind does not create. Mind creates sorrow and happiness only. Experience of the mind is only pain and pleasure, duality. But another level of duality where the intellect puts a logic of likes and dislikes. So that is the difference between the mind and intellect. Mind, emotional experiences. Intellect puts the logic. Intellect argues and proves. Vodka gives me a pleasure. Why? Because it has an element of liking. It has an element of habit. It lives with the I thought. So now intellect supports it. When the intellect supports it, it is the lack because of lack of Eastern wisdom. I did not study clearly. So when I did not study clearly, then the entire journey becomes polluted. I'm coming back. I have been saying purity of the mind is required very much. That level of purity should be there so that my intellect is not clouded by the mind, not clouded by the habit of the mind, not clouded by the past impressions of the mind. Then only I can think rightly. Then only I can put my reasoning rightly. Then I can only understand what is like and dislike. Otherwise, I have no. What a difference it makes. Let's have this life. Let me explain. A couple of years back, many years back, 4 or 5 years back, we went to Las Vegas. So there are hundreds of gambling. The son was saying that here is a coin. I said, no, I'm not playing. I'm very clear. I just came to enjoy, to see other people, how these people comes under the influence of ignorance. No, but they earn. Yes, by chance they earn. Let them do it. But it doesn't mean that I should not go. I should not watch. I should not see. So if I don't see, then I'm a weaker person. Then I can get under the influence of these people. Why should I get under the influence of these people? Let me maintain my awareness. Then we have many casinos here in Arizona also. And nearby that casino, there is a factory outlet. It's a big mall. So we see the casino. It doesn't affect your intellect. Intellect says, it's okay. Neither attachment nor detachment. So no likes and dislikes. Mind does not put the pressure. So we always go to that factory outlet to buy the clothes. We never have a thought. No one has ever thinking. So that mind is not exerting the influence on the intellect, and that intellect is pure. It can think rightly. We need that type of an intellect. So you see that purity of the mind, and that is what we say discernment and dispassion. Why? For have is objective self-observation. Objective self-observation. What is objective self-observation? So that I can see this mouse is separate and different from me. Objective self-observation. Now you ask the question, I'm an alcoholic. That is my subjective self-observation. So purity of the mind gives you to see the object, to see my habit, to see my attitude separate from me. Unless I have that ability in the intellect, which results into discernment, into dispassion, ultimately it results into a calmness. If that is absent, forget about it. Not possible. Not possible. So, purity of the mind, discernment and dispassion provide the mental clarity. It provides you the openness. So, in that state of openness, Master says apply the logic, apply the principles of Eastern wisdom there. Otherwise, you cannot apply. Otherwise, you cannot apply. One is already under the influence of vodka, and I say, do you know what is discernment? He says, yes. Looking at his wife, he says, look at this beautiful girl I met today. That is his discernment. So he has already separated that girl from him. That is also a discernment. But he lives under the influence of the vodka. There he does not recognize his wife. This is what happens into the mind. We need to clearly understand. We have to juggle around. We have to reason. We have to put the logic. Don't get scared to put the logic. If you put the logic, and you will not be able to find the spiritual consciousness. No, only then. If you put the right logic, follows discernment and dispassion, you will find it. That is what the J. Krishnamurti taught. Nothing more, nothing less. That is what U.G. Krishnamurti, that is what the Ashtavakra teaches. And that is what this our Nishtal Das, that is what we are following, is teaching us. I should be very clear. I should check my intellect again and again. Does it follow the right logic? Is it searching the cause and effect relationship? So, say for example, I gave an example of mirage water. My experience is mirage water. I cannot deny it. Experience is there. But I only can deny when I find the cause and effect relationship, if I put the right logic. It is the sun and the sand and the reflection, and that is why I see it. But when I go close to it, my experience is no more. So when I live into that higher level of discernment and dispassion, that influence of the vodka is no more. Many people say me, many people say me. Many people. No, how can I deny the experience? No, I don't say deny the experience. Examine it. Whether it's your real experience or not, or whether it's a mirage experience. So if it is a mirage experience, I have to do nothing with it. You are in deep sleep and tiger is chasing you. Suddenly you wake up. That experience goes away. You are free. You are free completely. Are you sure? So they say yes. Now see any influence, You ask those questions, I can easily relate. Yesterday he called me and this guy said, my girlfriend. I said, very good. Fortunately, it's your girlfriend, not mine. No, listen to me. So he said, my girlfriend friend. I said, very good. So my girlfriend friend criticized me and said that I am crazy. Boy said that I am crazy. And my girlfriend told me a lot of nasty things about me. Her girlfriend told him. I said, that is good. Then what happened? Then I could not sleep the whole night. I said, very good. Then I have a lot of fears that I will lose my girlfriend. This is what the influence of the vodka is. Now I said, explore why you have the fear. Now I have to, this is your real experience. So let us examine. whether it's a real experience or not. Do you trust your girlfriend? No, 50%. So you have 50% doubt. So where that experience, where that doubt lives, no, that doubt lives in my mind. Very good. Very good. Now, do I ask you the second question? No, no, you will ask me that do I have lot of expectations from the girlfriend? I said I will ask you. Yes, I have lot of expectations. So then I'm attached. So on one side, I am attached. I don't want to lose her. And her girlfriend created a thought pattern by which you have a fear to lose her. Do you have any other logic? So no, then he said that you will ask me if I lose her, what will happen? I said, answer me. You are seeking happiness from her. Happiness is in you. But you feel that a happiness is located in her, and if you lose her, oh, so it is my problem. I said, you are the craziest person. You should thank your girlfriend. At least there is someone who criticizes me. And you open the mind of your girlfriend that if you are really a girlfriend, you should discern and find out what is wrong, who is wrong, what is wrong, who is wrong. So he said, I will have a now sound sleep today. I understood it. I understood. So that attachment may be a physical relationship, that attachment may be a mental relationship, that attachment may be an emotional relationship. And so it means that attachment, physical, mental, and the emotional, and including the intellectual. And then he said, I hate her girlfriend. I said, then now you both live in this same score. Score is same on both the sides. I need not to worry about. You keep on hating. And when you keep on hating, you'll have lot of fears because you are trying to avoid the fear. You are not trying to solve the problem. You are not meant to hate. If her girlfriend is meant to hate, let her. You open yourself up. You give a choice to your girlfriend. What I am, I am. You can tell me if I have any weaknesses which you don't like, and if I recognize, I will try to mend it. So you conveyed the information, then obviously you have to check whether you have a weak mind, whether you really responded to her, or you responded to her in what way. Tell me. I cannot control you, you cannot control me. I don't think logically, and that is why I have a problem. You criticize me, and he criticized me, and she is there. And his fear did not go. The last question, if she leaves me, let her leave. Where is the problem? Why? Happiness is in you. Love is in you. Do you stick in your intellect with that thought? There is no fear. Then you have only a fear of the unknown. Now, last point. That is what happens. Mental ignorance content, MIC, instead of blood alcoholic content, BAC, we talk about, cop, if you're driving under the influence and they say, okay, let me examine your BAC. So they have some sniffing and they check your DUI, driving under influence. So I said, check your living under the influence, how much your mind is living under the influence of the ignorance. That is more important. I said, what do you mean? I said, do you have a fear of the known or do you have a fear of the unknown? Are you scared of me? No. I said, why? Because you know me, I know you. So you anticipated a fear of separation from your girlfriend. That is a fear of the unknown caused by your attachment. Caused by your attachment. You see, these simple principles can be applied anywhere. So what happens? You are into anxiety, you are upset with someone, and you invite, my friend, discernment and discretion. I will use you. In any cases, in your personal life, in your professional life, in your social life, you are not dictated by your habit. You are not dictated by your I thought. That is what I told you in the beginning. How it takes lack of exposure. So I forget the principles. That is what the lack of exposure is. So now if I forget those principles, so where my mind will go? Where my mind is interested. So where my mind is interested, where I am attached. So it means I will focus into the world outside. You see the entire journey. Now my no option is left. No option is left, then I thought will take over me. Then I identify with myself, with ego. What will happen if she is leaving me? Better she leaves me. She is has such a weak mind. She can easily be influenced by anyone. Because my friend said, and that is why I'm conveying you the message. Why you didn't make your friend clear? Stop this nonsense. I'm not interested in listening. If you have anything concrete, clarity, tell me. You see the influence. So I thought is carried away, and then what happens? We have identification with the ego, and then what happens? Because of that identification, I lack the self-reflection. I lose it. So in the absence of, it is the same thing with, with the cop says the driver, come outside. What did you say? I'm already outside. So that driver doesn't come outside the car. So you see that I have lack of self-reflection. So I'm attending a public safety training of the cops. It's a wonderful program. In the entire Arizona, we have a $200 million facility. So where I'm attending that public safety training, and these different cops are there. So they track how they catch the criminal, the gangster, and how they examine. They have taken some videos for reference. So I'm enjoying those lessons. It gives me another level of awareness. So this cop was saying that I know that he is under the influence, but without law is so strict. That's why we say that we are the leaders of the world. Why we say there is so much of documentation here. I see you are under the influence of alcohol, but without the video camera, without the checking, I cannot arrest you. So now I open the door, the cop opens the door, and he falls down. So that shows that you are under the influence. I cannot arrest you. So I help you to stand up. So some people are half conscious and they kill the cops. That is the problem here. It's too much of freedom, too much of documentation. Then they say they check it, take the 5 steps backward, take the 5 steps forward. So they are not allowed to take their pistol out. I'm handcuffed. Cops are handcuffed. Sometimes they kill people, maybe because of the right reason. So they told us the right scenario in a simulation technique. They said, you apply your logic and now let me see how you handle. So they are making people more and more aware. So that is what the lack of self-reflection is there. So when there is a lack of self-reflection, it results into the fear of the unknown. And then I am guided by all my habits, my impulses, my instincts, and I fall back into my delusion. So there is one more thing you can add here. That is why we have, when we are studying under the teacher consistently, regularly, then we meditate, say for example, on the Shiva and the Krishna and the Hanuman and any god and goddesses. So our mind starts looking those gods and goddesses as a role model. And that role model, that image of the Shiva in the intellect, helps me to live in the discernment and dispassion. That is why we are doing Shiva meditation. Otherwise, once we reach to their state, then all gods and goddesses are the same. We don't need them. Or we need them. We have a very clarity of understanding in the logic. Clarity. Memories or the past memories, we have past impressions, the impulsive drives, the instinctual, plus the habits. So they are the tendencies. These tendencies are known as the vasanas. Now those vasanas trigger and they create certain impressions. They are known as the sanskaras. They are constantly living. I have to take care of those sanskaras because I do not know those tendencies unless they create a trigger. I look at you and it creates a sense of anger or anxiety or hatred or duality and a conflict. I have to take care. That is what the impurity of the mind is. We need a purification of the mind. We don't have any morality or ethical discipline. We don't say, no, if you do anger, you will be committing sin. Forget about that. We are not saying that, you will go to hell and you will go to heaven. Hell and heaven is here and now. Unfavorable condition, you encounter unfavorable condition. I have told you 100 of times. Get rid of that hell and heaven idea coming from the religion. All the religions are causing a lot of challenges in our life. No, you will go to heaven and you will go. No, hell and heaven is here. So any unfavorable condition, any form of the anxiety, any form of the hatred, any form of the duality, any form of unease and the discomfort is what the sin is. And now all those sins I'm under the influence of those sins. That is what the hell is. I'm living into hell. So if I'm living into the hell, how can I recognize where is heaven? So if one guy is living under the influence of the vodka, how he can recognize if there is any other possibility? And only the discernment and dispassion, only the purity of the mind can work. Where is heaven? I wake up in the morning. Mind says you are relaxed and calm. Some past impression triggers and the mind is aware. It reflects instantly. It says, forget about it. That thought does not belong to you and you are gone. You continue to live into the heaven the moment you wake up in the morning until you. So in the afternoon, mind says you don't have the money. Yes, try, get it, make an effort, right direction. Because I don't have the money, that is why I am frustrated. Wrong approach. So I created an experience of frustration in me, which I claim is real, like a mirage water. So I moved from heaven to hell. So I asked myself, did I take my breakfast? Yeah. Did I take my lunch? Do I have food to eat today and tomorrow and day after? Yes. Am I living in the house? Yes. Why should I be frustrated? I will see day after tomorrow what happens. I have 2 days more. Let me do work. So what it means that I got rid of the delusion created by the mind, dictated over the intellect, and the intellect believes that I'm really frustrated, I am really scared, I really have a pain, I really have a problem, I cannot do anything, I'm going to commit suicide. You see, that all these thoughts come through the hell. So sin and health are related, very much related. I'm under the influence of this sin or vodka, it is the same thing. On sin on one hand, because of the thought process, so that influence under the group of thoughts guided by the negative emotions, now I'm already in hell. And under the now I'm living into hell. How can you think of a person living in a hell influenced by those chain of the thoughts can create another chain of the thoughts under one really listens patiently, has been consistent, where the pressure of the sin can become less. I have more resources in my mind and the intellect. How can I have more resources? Consistent listening and learning. That is what the master and teacher relationship, master and a student relationship. There is nothing more than that. Logically, I'm explaining. So because that relationship is much more at the level of the consciousness, it is beyond likes and dislikes. That is why it is an auspicious relationship. That is why it is, we say, I have to bow down. So I bow down my head means that I'm bowing down my ignorance present in the mind. That is the only thing. You need not to bow down physically. You can do it internalize. You internalize this teaching, it will do. But it can only do for the higher level of the seeker. It cannot do for the lower level of the seeker. How do you say? Why do you say that? Every day you go to your home and you say, honey, I love you. Mentally, internally. You internalize. But you don't express it. Your honey will say, he seems to be angry every day. So I have to express mentally, I have to express physically. So the physically, that is why prostration is there. Oh, happy birthday. Internally you say, it doesn't make any difference unless you bring some gift and give it to honey. Yeah, that is what is required. Why it is required? Because in the world we live with the body-mind complex. So I have to allow that auspiciousness to be expressed through the body-mind complex. Why? To purify the mind. Again the same thing, to purify the mind. Mind has to be pure. Mind should not be under the influence of tendencies, sanskaras, and conditioned thoughts of unfavorable conditions, thoughts of pain and the pleasure, thoughts of the duality, thoughts of victory and defeat, thoughts of profit and loss. No, not at all. Then only I have an ability to discover the journey, then only I can become a seeker. Otherwise, that is what the entire process is. Now see what happens. So now we have understood, now the intellect knows it, this is what. So now the intellect starts analyzing the past experiences by logic and reasoning. Now experience is my addiction. So the more I put the logic in the experience, I'm able to discern. That is what happens. Not only this, now the intellect is not under the influence of the mind and the past experiences, so my intellect is ready to examine my profound, confusing experiences that I had in the past. That I'm able to get rid of those past experiences. You insulted me 10 years ago. Otherwise, the people carry those impressions. You insulted me 10 years ago. I still feel that insult. That's why you are the craziest person in the world. Only you remember this and you don't remember a lot of situations that took place for 10 years in your life. Because that is a confusing experiences I always keep in my mind. I never examined it. Why I never examined? Because I do not live into that state of discernment and dispassion. I had such a dreadful experience. Do I remember? No. Do I need to speak about it? Answer is no, it is gone. I already received a lot of experiences from my students. It is enough. It is enough to explain them as an example. So I see them, I have an imprint. They are documented somewhere in the deep mind. How much frustration I had in my life, but it is not emotionalized. They are maybe in the form of a book. You don't forget anything. You don't forget those memories. But now the memories cannot become alive. They are dead. They are dry. You have it. How can you not have it? And it is because of the power of discernment, because of the purity of the mind. You live into that state. Everyone has it. The master always says, build your success on peace and happiness. Don't build your success on narrating your past experiences, how much you were frustrated to your students. No, never. Why? Because you are not frustrated now. It is not required. People narrate their own experiences. So self-examination with the teacher, self-examination by yourself is contemplation and reflection, and that helps you to remove those dreadful experiences. They do not belong to you. They are caused by the delusion. I gave an example, real life example of this young guy. My girlfriend's friend, and he did not dare to speak openly to her girlfriend. How dare you talk to me about me? A message coming from your friend. You both sit and decide who the hell I am. Do we want a relationship or not? I don't dare to do that. Why? I have a fear. I have a fear. Let me do it. You leave me, leave me. No, how can you leave me? I'm attached. I love you so much. I cannot live without you. You are my soulmate. And I told him that I want to see how many years in US you live as a soulmate. At least, I will continue to live for another 10 to 15 years more. I want to see. We started laughing. Sir, what you are saying? I said, no, I want to see it. Any relationship based on your fear, based on your imagined fear, cannot last long. And you are not clear. You do not follow the power of discernment and dispassion. This is what is the way the